Are we?
Well, we're trying to. I'm not even.
Yeah.
We are live, guys. Holy cow!
This was the best
We
jet.
are live.
We're not.
No, we are.
We are.
We're here.
Oh, we're finally live.
This was the best jet.
Whew. Excuse my language. Damn it, man! Every time I come in here,
that was something watching you guys do this.
Yeah, it was something watching us do that, wasn't it?
Listen, it all started with no internet.
So needless to say,
we had split screens. We had all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
You know what happens?
You guys did good. Y'all
with the
figured it
millennial
out.
times when you have no internet.
Y'all figured it out.
Holy
World,
cow!
I don't even know what we did.
Well,
Y'all
let's
did good.
give. I'll tell you what. Normally we run our intro, so we're having problems with the intro. Couldn't run that. We want to give everybody some time to log on. So we're gonna sit tight for a minute or so, just get everybody logged on as we.
This is what's going to happen when they start developing self-driving. When Chevy puts out self-driving cars.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, bugs.
Yes.
Bugs. Yep. And we're here to work them out for you.
Well, guys,
But-
we're here to talk fishing. We didn't do the intro because I don't know.
Hey, we're just happy to be on.
Yeah.
Happy.
It was a cold day out there.
Dude,
I
fished
Hey.
today.
Yeah,
Can
you
we
fished today. I didn't fish today.
Bro,
Can we
it's
get some
cold as-
comments?
I'm gonna get us some
Coldest,
comments. Yep, that's exactly
Coldest
what I'm gonna
I've
do.
been.
You're late, Ken.
Wow.
We are so late.
Yeah.
Ken, I had a trip this afternoon. I got off the water late, which we got here with about 10 minutes to spare, and then we ran into some issues, which we got fixed, I
Yep.
guess. But we're
Luckily,
here.
we got Kenny just logged on, so we got Ken. Is there a way I can see who's on?
I don't know. Don't click buttons. We're
All
going
right.
to break something.
Ken's going tomorrow.
It's going to be cold in the
Yeah.
morning, Ken. I got a trip tomorrow morning, too. I tell you, fishing was good today.
Yeah.
Fishing was good. It was tough getting bait. I used smaller bait today. Actually, it wasn't that tough. It was just, there was 3-footers.
While you're on that topic, one thing we need to get into tonight, I think, after we give our fishing reports, is talk about the chain, like how we process catching bait after these fronts and stuff. So we're not going to get into it now, but a lot of people have asked that question, like, hey, can we still catch bait? Are you still using bait? So I want to get into that discussion a little bit later. But sorry, don't want to stop you from your fishing report.
No, fishing was surprisingly good. I told the guys, I said, look, man, if you can, I was supposed to originally to pick them up in St. Pete, and I said, guys, listen, if you can
Make the drive
make the
in
drive,
the car versus the drive in the
make
boat.
it worth your while.
Yep.
Travis, quit calling. I got it.
Yeah, Travis, we are good to go now.
Text Travis for me. But it was good. We caught flounder. We got about a 26, 27-inch snook. We got a bunch of snook. We got no trout today. No trout. We got about 10 reds. One was decent. And what else did we get? Got some jacks.
Jacks.
Nice jacks.
Oh man,
Big
yeah.
jack.
It was, considering the weather, we probably caught minimum of 30 fish in 3.5 hours. So it was a good day. We used smaller bait. I tell you what, everybody's always like wanting bigger bait. When it's cold like this, I'd rather have the
When
smaller
it's cold,
bait.
yes.
I think them fish will eat it better.
Mhm.
I know it's a little bit of a pain to cast, but I think you get more of the redfish up in the creeks and river systems than you do on that big old honker stuff at the bridge. We caught a bunch of small reds today. It was a good day. It was a good day. They had a good time. Some people from Canada. I knew it was cold when the people from Canada said, I'm cold.
I'm
Yeah.
ready to go home.
I was like, well, let me tell you something. I had my ski stuff on. I had a sweater on and then my long sleeve shirt,
Yeah.
and I was still cold.
Yeah, it was cold today.
I was cold.
I wasn't on the water, but it was cold.
Smaller reds. Yeah, Kevin, that's what we were just
we
talking
got
about.
a ton of smaller reds, Kevin. I got one that was probably 25 and a half.
Yeah.
Decent red. So it was good, though. We caught a lot of fish. It was weird, though, because I picked up about one, and I thought, okay, see how this goes. You hit the first spot. You kind of, if they start blowing up, you got fish. If they don't hit the chum, especially fishing in the river, then you're like, uh-oh.
We're gonna talk popping corks in a minute. I had a popping cork epiphany.
Yeah.
We should back it up. So, like, what did you? So, hey, how was your Thanksgiving?
It's great.
Good. Good
Great.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It was great.
Rick helped me. I woke up Thanksgiving morning, went right to Rick's house, and he helped me get my skeeter out of the water to get some trailer repairs done.
James shows up. He walks out to the dock, and he says, she's high and dry.
Yeah, low tide.
I can't get her moved. Hang on, young buck. Let me get out here and take a look. You're good.
You're good. Yeah, I was like, dude, I'm high and dry. I'm like, what? Nothing about this is good.
But the motor was sitting in a 4-foot hole. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We
just let her eat.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That hole's about 6 feet deep now, by the way. After I blew it out.
My neighbors off subject is living in where we live. I'm on the water. Rick's on the water. We're both in shallow dead end canals, and mine's blown out pretty good. But you always end up where your front bunks have got extra sand, and your back one's got this big hole from reversing in and out.
Yeah.
And my neighbor next to me, he's out there chuckling at me one morning. I didn't made the wrong call. I had a low tide, but I wasn't expecting the north wind.
Yep.
I came out, and my bunks are out of the water. Both of them, except the back, are barely in. I got that thing at 5,000 RPMs. I had to start turning the wheel this, walking the boat.
Yeah.
And he's out there with his coffee, and I'm thinking, it was like 7 in the morning. I'm thinking, man, I'm going to wait these people. It's a Saturday. And I called my customer. I was like, guys, we got to back this up an hour or two. He goes, why? I was like,
can't get the boat on.
I'd like to tell you something better, but I can't get my boat off the lift.
Somebody pulled the plug.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we can't do it. I said, give me 10 minutes. So I jumped back in the boat. I had every bit of that 300 horsepower in reverse. And I got it off, though. So, it's,
we made it happen.
Yeah,
It was an adventure, but we made it happen. I was worried about the ramp, too, but everything worked out just like Rick said it would. Boats on his trailer, everything's fixed up.
I know the mud around my dock pretty well.
Yeah, you do.
Well, you got to get them off. Some days you try. There's a very few times that I'll leave my boat on the outside of my dock, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you.
There's sometimes you have to, or you ain't fishing.
Yeah.
There are days it will not.
Right.
It ain't coming off.
Yeah. I think Thompson's is the worst. His whole canal's shallow.
Is it?
Oh God! Have you ever been down his canal? It literally my boat's rubbing the mud. He's got the muck stuff though.
Yeah. The good smelling stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I brought that up to talk about. We just come off this period where every morning, these low tides. How did that affect your fishing? What have you been doing for the last week during these low tide stages?
Just where we fish.
I love low
lower
tide.
the better.
Yeah.
I mean, dump it right now from here through January. Bring it.
Yeah.
As lower the better, because all it does in these creeks we fish is it takes the fish from the sides and up in the troughs, and they'll drop off dead in the middle of the canal.
Yep.
And you just light them up with chum and
Yep.
The lower the better.
Lower the better.
Lower the better. I had one day last year, and it was Tom from Iowa. These guys come down, it's Jeff's brother.
Okay.
And I had bait in the pens only when I fished. I pinned my bait up, and I had bait, and I woke up the next morning, it was blowing 25 plus out of the north with a negative tide. I got to this when I was at Little Harbor. I got to my boat. My T-top was even with the dock. My floating dock was halfway on land.
Wow.
And he's like, "We're here." I'm like, "I got bait." I mean, it's blowing bad. I've only seen it one other time that low, and that's when we had the hurricane. And I ran up in the river, and I thought, guys, I don't know how it's going to go. It's freezing. And I'm running through the main part of the river, and it's 2 foot water. It was – I've never seen it that way.
Yeah.
And so we get in there, absolutely tore them up. And we were literally throwing in the middle of canals because there was just no water.
Right.
And all them fish, they just drop off.
That's cool.
And they hug on that bottom, on that muddy bottom. So, key right now this time of year is – look for areas that are going to hold heat. Muddy bottom, banks are going to hold heat. These fish today were, you would see it, the snook, they'd come up and eat the whitebait. And these guys were not real good fishermen, so they kept trying to guide the bass. Look, leave the line slack and read your line. Let that bait get down in the water column, but you'd literally see them snook come off the bottom. They were hugging. Now, I will say water temperature. So I fixed the water temperature on my machine for literally 3 hours. I bought the plug-in that I needed. It was 67. For whatever reason, went back to negative 58 this afternoon, which sucked. But
it got colder.
It did get colder.
Yeah, negative 58. It dropped. It dropped to negative 58.
Well, that's about the same drop we saw the last time. We talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago when Travis was doing the show with us. We talked about what temps we were seeing.
Right.
And 67 seemed to be where we all kind of bottomed out. Now that was today, 67 today, right?
So it'll be low.
So you'll probably see
I've seen
64 tomorrow
already this year.
All right.
But
yeah,
so
it's it's.
We'll get to that in 1 second, Garrett.
You got to fish around the fronts, and what the funny thing about today I wanted to get at was first 2 hours, they were popping, things were going, we're catching fish, got a nice 26-inch snook, got the big redfish. Then all of a sudden, and the tide had started running in, bite just shut down, and I thought, man, the high pressure, and the clouds started kind of clearing a little bit, and I felt like that high pressure was turning. I told these guys because all of a sudden, like, everything just quit.
Yeah.
And then we went through a spurt of not a lot of fish. I moved around, everything kind of sucked, and then right as the sun started setting, we quit catching the snook because it got real cold. But then all of a sudden we started catching the little reds and jacks and ladyfish, and so we ended on a good note. But it was a good trip all in all.
That could be fun to get into a bite like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's about catching fish, man. Everybody, I have some clients that are like big fish. And sometimes
everybody wants to catch a big fish, and everybody wants to catch as many big fish as they can. But
Sure.
let's look at reality.
But then you get on the water and you need to get the rod bent,
Right.
Well, sometimes
What's up,
though,
Kevin?
when you got that client, that goes through all the time, but like,
Yeah.
they're putting the extra
22 inch
pressure
snook,
on you, and you end up having a day that's subpar because you've overthought stuff and tried too hard to hone in on one thing. Where sometimes where if you just go fishing, because the spots that you catch the little ones are, if there's big ones there. But
sometimes when you just, it seems like more times than not, when you just go fishing, you have better days.
Yeah.
Just go fishing. When
just
you
get some
try
bait
to-
and go.
People don't understand on trips. They're like, well, I want to catch big fish. I'm like, that's cool, but understand what catching, especially like a big snook, is about. It's about sitting and being bored. It's like tarpon fishing.
It's
Or you want to catch a lot of fish too. So
The best of both worlds.
yeah, I want to win the lotto. I mean, there's days where it happens, but a lot of times it's hard to make both happen.
Right.
That's why them situations I've learned, go catch, put some fish in the boat, catch your numbers. All right, you ready to go get some big stuff?
Yeah.
All right, you see that rod holder?
Put
We're
it
gonna
in
be
there.
using that a lot.
Yeah. Let Rodney
So-
do the work.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But
Well, I could tell you, up in the upper portion of the bay, and I don't know if you guys are seeing this. I had trips throughout the weekend, and boy, we had a hard time getting bait over the weekend on the flats. It seemed like it moved around. Really talking about the day after Thanksgiving, Saturday. I had to make some moves and kind of run pretty far to get that done all 3 days. But man, it was a really good bite on those low tides. We're seeing the same thing, except I don't really have up there. We've got creeks, but we don't have like a good river system like that Little Manatee, which is like your staple river system to default to. We have the different creek mouse and things we can run to, but I also hadn't really seen that transition happen yet. I'm anxious to get out there after this cold front. I didn't fish yesterday. I didn't fish today. But I think after this temperature snap, I think that the fish were already making their way to those
They're
creek
not.
mouse and
Something's wrong with
residential.
them.
Yeah, they need to. They'll feel that. Can't get that in when it's low. That's the other tricky part about up there is we can't always access them. Or you've got to be brave if you're going to access them. There's no.
That's where the 6-inch running boats are nice, like a Simmons or a Shoalwater.
Sure.
Or an airboat.
Yeah.
But, let's be realistic. Bay boat, we just got interrupted there for whatever reason. A typical bay boat is a multi-use boat. It's,
Right.
What we run.
Right.
It's comfortable.
But it's got limitations.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's always going to be a trade-off.
everything-
Every time you look at a boat, and I just went through this, changing from one boat to another. The first thing you do is, look at what's different about it. I've noticed some differences.
What am I giving up?
Yeah, what am I gaining and what am I giving up? But anyways, yeah, so I think that coming out of this cold front for the upper bay, I really think that you're going to need to start to rely, if this, it's going to warm up here in the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw Friday, Saturday,
Fridays.
Sunday, Monday, it's going to be warm, even up into the 80s. But that being said, this last weekend I focused just on the edge of these grass flats, the deeper portions where we're still in 2 and 3 feet of water, and it continues to be strong. The further out you get away, so the deeper water I'm noticing, and this goes for a lot of the different flats when we get north of the Gandy Bridge. You get out there in the 5 or 6 feet depth, you're messing with bluefish and ladyfish and jacks. You get into that 3-foot range, now you're starting to really dial in on trout. And you get a little bit shallower than that, and you're starting to mix in with the reds and snook. And it was like clockwork all 3 days for us. You got some kids in the mix on Sunday. Took my son out and my buddy Brian's son out and got those boys their first inshore slam.
It's good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And but that's the one thing. We got another guy here, Kevin. already asking about bait. So we're going to get into that discussion after our first break and really talk about the bait migration and what it's going to do.
Breaks.
We're not taking any breaks.
No breaks.
No.
Oh, we're not taking any breaks. So that wraps up my fishing report. Is bait was a little tricky. Wasn't in my normal flats. I don't know that that's going to stay true, but it was for me over the weekend as I had to make some runs and get out into deeper water to target that bait.
It's moving. There's still some on the flats, but it's gonna, the Skyway it's gonna hold bait good like it always does. But you're gonna start to. I tell you some good options for bait that a lot of people don't do. Marinas and residential areas hold more heat and will hold bait.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your docks and stuff like that. But you're gonna see some bait start moving to the deeper markers and stuff, and it's gonna get interesting. I catch bait almost year round. We do.
Yeah.
It gets hard, and typically sometimes we're catching bait when we really don't need to because when it gets to a point where it's so cold that it really don't matter. I've saw that before. I've worked my butt off, went to the bridge, and the bait stacked 25 foot of water on the bottom. You spend 2.5 hours to get bait, go back, and it's like the water temperature has just gotten to that, under that 58-degree mark is what I always say.
Yeah, that's the same. I'm usually call it 60, and it gets tough.
So just
but
went and bought shrimp.
Yep.
How many times have you said that? Have you been there and said, dang, I wish I had some shrimp?
No, I've been on the other side where somebody went and got bait and I got shrimp and they smoked them and I had a tough day. So it's tough to make that call. But, you're going to start seeing stuff change around. The key
But we're a ways from that right now.
Yeah.
We're a little ways. I know this cold front came through and it cooled things down.
I caught bait this weekend on the flats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
it was hard.
That temperature tonight is going to get cool.
But
so what do you do?
I don't think it's going to be there next. Just to answer Kevin, I don't think I don't know about other places because bait's different. Sometimes bait up in the Gandy area is different.
We're experiencing the opposite.
I don't think
of what
there's
going to
be bait on the flats on the South Shore this weekend.
Right.
No, and
if there is, there ain't going to be much.
Yeah, it's going to be work. What happens a lot of times, what happened today is I got bait in shallower water today because of the winds, and I'm glad it was there. But even if the bait's there, it don't want to go to chum. It's just sitting there like this, like I'm cold. And
then when it sees you, there it goes.
Yeah, or like today.
Well, it's how excited were you to be out there today fishing? They're probably feeling the same way.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to move as much as you don't.
It was cold, man.
It might eke back up on the flats next week once it warms up a
Yeah,
little bit. But
and that's what I think. Kevin, to answer your question, I'm pretty sure you're going to be up in somewhere in the Upper Bay. I would say that if you're planning on going out this weekend, don't deviate from what's been working for you the last couple weekends because we're going to get this warming trend. I think it starts tomorrow. So that gives you Thursday to warm up, Friday to warm up. I saw really warm trends on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's probably enough time to kind of get everything back to where it was. But just know that coming soon, that's going to change. But I wouldn't do anything different, Kevin. I'd probably stick to the same plan that has been putting bait in your wells, for the last few weeks. And if it doesn't work, try something different. Try to get out to a marker and use your bottom finder.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing. Kevin Overstreet, give me a lower unit report. I haven't heard anything. No,
good.
Is good news.
I fished with him.
Okay, he never said anything. I told him.
I've been in contact with him.
Okay.
But so far so good. He said
we got him back on the water. Got a little green in my pocket. It was a good day.
Actually, that was the day. Friday is when I ran into him. When I was struggling to get bait, he was grinding it out in an area we'd been getting good bait, and he was grinding it out. And he saw me. Let's just say I didn't pick up till 9, and he saw me at about 7, and then he saw me leave at about 7:20, and then he saw me come back at about 7:45, and then he saw me leave again at about 8:15. But I did show back up to the boat ramp with bait. So did he. It just took him 2 hours of patience, and I didn't have it in me. I had to make the move. I need $1,000 discount. Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So that's what I guess to answer the question, that's what I went through. That's what I experienced. We were coming out of a little bit of a front. Water temperature was a little bit cooler. It was blowing a little bit, and I started in my normal areas. I didn't see what I needed to see. Check something else. That didn't pan out. I went to plan C, which was get in deeper water and start using my machine to find it.
Hey, Kevin, how about we do this? I'll send you the bill for my Cobra project that James saw the other day. I think you're better off keeping that there.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back and answer a couple questions. One was the redfish
On popping corks.
We did good. I've been doing real good with redfish. I know Jason has as well. I've not been using popping corks.
I haven't either. My theory on
we caught some big nice overslot reds this weekend, and reds weren't a problem to catch. And I haven't put a float on a line in 2 weeks.
My theory on floats, and I'm a big float. I like the Cajun. Love the Cajun Thunders.
Yep.
They're very good. The biggest problem I have with them is people reeling the bead through the eye. I got to figure something out.
I've got a solution.
Good.
The Ugly Stick Inshore Select has a one-piece stainless guide with no insert. They cannot blow it out. I've resorted to those as my popping cork rods.
I got to figure something else out.
I'm just kidding.
But I typically I don't do a lot of popping corks minus trout in March because I feel the water's a lot cleaner and I don't think they're as effective here. Could be wrong on that. I do better on free lines. As soon as that water dirties up a little bit in April, it seems like they're on fire for me. This time of year, I don't use a lot of them, minus the trout. I think trout, is the X factor. But
right.
Right now I'm just free lining, or if I got to use some weight, use split shot, small split shot or whatever. So I'd like to get out and do some grouper fishing, but this time of year, and I know Todd Fouché, he's Mr. Grouper out there in the bay, and I see him put some good fish up there on social media this week. I was like, man, I got to get out there. But the problem is every other day that you have a trip, it's blowing, and he'll go out there when it's blowing because he's fishing by himself. But when you got clients, I just don't feel like fighting it. So I haven't been able to really get out there and play with some grouper. It's just something different. I love grouper fishing out in the bay. But
when do you use a popping cork then? Or
sometimes I use them when baits are small and I can't cast them
to get the distance.
A lot of times I'll use a popping cork, but anytime that I got baits that I can throw without a float, I'll use it.
Same.
I'll try it. Sometimes, for some reason, fish eat better when they're under a cork. So a lot of times what I do is I'll start my day with things rigged differently. And then once we see a pattern, we go to that pattern. But I use a cork for trout probably 80% of the time, just because trout are so curious.
Right.
And when they hear that gurgle, 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 pop, whatever, they want to come see what's going on.
So I'll tell you this.
The problem is people want to overwork it.
Or
once they find out what it does,
they want to
keep
kill
doing
the bait.
Exactly. And I try to tell them, say, look, here's the idea. The idea is that you're going to make a noise, and then you want to give that fish enough time to investigate without spooking it. Now, there's times that just the way it is, you chug, the fish comes, and it takes that interval of time where you're about to chug again. I always tell them 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Go 45 seconds to a minute. But, you tell people that, and I mean,
a minute's a long time.
But 8 seconds is not.
I know. But, if we sat here for a minute and didn't.
But I know, but that's, it's what it takes. You can't pop it every 5 or 6 seconds.
Well, I'll agree with you.
They're killing the bait, and then it's just
too much.
You got to give the fish a chance to.
Travis hates popping corks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you. Though,
so
sometimes
best part of Louisiana was he had to throw it. He goes, I'm sick of hitting that. He goes, I popped that popping cork all I want to pop it. The next day he's throwing it. But you're catching 50 reds on it. Everybody in that tournament was throwing them because the water was dirty, conditions sucked, and they work. They absolutely
Man, I will do whatever it takes to catch fish. Popping corks, no corks.
Never too proud.
Never
let pride get in the way.
I'm in the back of the boat, and this is in Louisiana, of course. And the water's dirty, and Brian's up there trying to sight fish. I'm like, dude, the water looks like that piece of wood there.
Yeah.
The whole day he's up there trying to sight fish. I'm just in the back while he's running the trolling. I'm going, pow, pow, yank, reeling him in. I caught like 25 reds to his 2.
Yeah.
I said, get out of the dang tower and start fishing. Trying to sight fish.
So you want to know something about popping corks? Never had one on any rod or reel that's ever been on my boat or I've ever used until Tuesday last week. First time I ever tied a popping cork on. Swear. I've used corks It's trout fishing. That's what I always use. Just throw corks. Some even the ones with the weights in them to help get the casting.
That's all I use the ones they look like an egg, and they got a
Cajun Thunder's
little
money, man.
BB in there.
Yeah, but I was getting sick of getting them tangled. So I was like, let me try a popping cork.
It don't matter what cork you got, they're going to tangle.
I don't know. The popping cork were pretty darn good. I didn't see a lot of tangles.
The old white ones with the concave?
No, I'm talking about the ones that have a true popping cork like he's talking about, like a Cajun Thunder, a base layer, a bomber, whatever they are. But they have the wire through them.
Did you try to put a fluorocarbon or leader on the top part?
No, I put braid on top.
No.
Leader on the bottom.
So I learned this from a seminar, and the guy in the crowd, it helps. So what you do, you got your popping cork. I wish we had one here.
Yep.
And then you got your leader with your hook. And on this side, you got your braid.
Which the packaging will tell you to tie braid or main line to the top.
Don't tie another leader. What I'll do, so you got your regular, you have like your regular setup.
Yeah.
So instead of cutting the leader off, just cut the hook, tie your leader into the cork. What it does, it doesn't stop it, but it slows it down. What it actually does is that line is more spring-like. Or braid is slack. So braid
so
want to
wrap.
So you tie either mono or fluorocarbon. What I usually do is I'll leave my other leader, so when I want to take the popping cork off, I cut it, just tie my hook back on.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah. So
when I was using the Cajun Thunders, I was taking them and I was shortening.
I can't believe you don't use them still.
I used to have them, man.
I love them. I love the back bay ones too. They've got that square. They pop way better.
But I shortened that. Whatever you want to call it, the
wire.
The wire. I shortened it.
So you cut it.
Yeah,
that's some thick wire.
It's hard to get twisted back, but you can twist it back. But I shortened it.
You only got to roll it a couple times, probably.
It's hard to roll.
Yeah.
That's
some good stuff.
He buys it from NASA. It's
I didn't know that.
Not serious, but it's. I
didn't know that.
Hey,
that stuff is
that NASA popping cork.
It's serious, but
it keeps like
I shortened it. I shortened.
I know.
I shortened it like 2 inches, and it don't affect the sound any because you still have enough space for those brass balls to clack.
Clackety clacks.
But it's shorter so it don't wrap as it did cut down on the.
Did it?
The reason I don't like them is because if you want to change your depth, you got to cut and retie.
Yes, that's I like
too much though. You do that much on your depth change?
Trout fishing, I
Not
don't.
a lot, but
I do like 2 to 3 foot.
Yeah.
Trout fishing, I don't. But like if I'm going to throw a cork around mangroves or into shallow water,
I've always left it the same.
Yeah.
And I use a float a lot. I mean, right now I don't have any tied up because the other problem with floats is they'll beat your rods up.
Running
too. So you got to kind of loop them, and they're a little bit of work, but
the Cajun Thunder is the best of all those.
The best.
That's the one I'm using because I got them here.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Let me just throw a couple of these in because I'd shifted a bunch of gear from other boat, and all my other corks were just in a bag, all nasty. I was like, new boat, want to get new stuff. So I bought a couple from Tuesday. So I ran Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and I took my kids Sunday. I never had more than two anglers fishing. Like I had 2 people Tuesday, 2 people Friday, 2 people Saturday, and then it was only the kids that were fishing Sunday. So every fish from Tuesday to Sunday came on the popping corks. We never put them down, never stopped using them. Redfish, snook, trout, flounder, you name it. And I usually with corks, every 20 minutes I've got a tangle to deal with. Wasn't dealing with tangles, so I was like, man, this is great.
Well, try
and they're still tied up on my rods.
Try that leader.
I will, yeah.
And then the other thing that people need to do, and I can't get my dang customers to do it. I tell them when you throw a bait and it's frisky and it's bouncing, that cork's. Watch your cork when it starts walking like this. Take it, whack. That's when you pop it.
Yeah.
It's like having a dog on a choker.
Yeah.
Like when the dog gets out of line, you pop them real fast.
Yep.
You hit the choker on them, straighten them up.
Especially when you see it swimming back at you, man. That's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
You're like looking at it and
they're sitting
clients
there off in La La Land. I'm like, cork's under, huh?
Damn.
Cork's under. You're gonna lose them all day.
Oh.
They're especially snook, but they work. They really do work.
Yeah, I don't know how many corks my kid between my boy and the other guy. I mean, my boy's 4 and Brian's just turned 6. I don't know how many corks we watch go under, and they're like, "Do I reel, Dad?"
Yes, reel.
And I'm like, fast. Reel, and that age they can't catch up on it. And
that's awesome.
But when they came tight, it was awesome.
Yeah, but it's. Right
There's
now,
nothing better than this, man.
I say I don't use a lot of floats, but I've been fishing deeper water. Like if I'm trout fishing, it don't matter what time of the year. I think the snook shy away from them sometimes, when that got that clear water. I don't think you need them this time of year
Yeah.
with snook. They're hungry.
Right.
We're getting to that point where the bait's thinning out on the flats. The fish are, I always say they're like bears. They're staging up for winter.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you're on that staging point, you got white bait, it's on. I mean, you're going to catch them. And,
If you get big enough white bait to cast, you won't need no floats right now for snook.
No.
I've been
no.
throwing that little stuff.
And I want them to get down.
Yeah.
You know, right now with this cooler water, I want the baits to get out. You know, especially if I'm going for these bigger snook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really targeting them in real shallow water right now, so I don't
Well,
mind having that
I
bigger
don't
one.
have the product here because we're running late, but I want to do the product review real fast. You got me a set of the Grundens. I called you. I said I need some.
Oh
dry.
yeah.
When I opened them, I said, "Oh damn, he got me the wrong ones because they were the thin ones."
Mhm.
And Travis, I got a pair. He's like, "You don't get wet." He's like, "No, I don't get wet." That is the best set of bibs I've ever bought. Because you don't get wet, but they're not. Do you have the thin ones?
Mm.
He's got the
Oh, God,
Hercules.
dude. Get them. Like
Yeah.
I'm
It's like wearing
telling you,
nothing.
It's like
Really?
your gauge. Well,
Wear nothing. Huh?
Yeah, well, it's like
you gotta be
wearing
careful what
very
you tell
little.
Rick, okay?
Yeah. Well,
But
underneath them, you can wear whatever you
the
want.
Grundens, the
But
new
you'll be
ones,
dry.
What are they called? The new.
They're the Petrus.
I don't wear nothing under the
Yeah.
Hercules.
They're the. All right, Hercules.
Not going on the boat with Rick no more.
No.
But they're great. Like
Mhm.
I was like, because I thought when I seen the thin ones, I thought they were like the gauge
I
ones.
know.
Where they're,
Everyone
I thought-
thinks that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Man,
Actually, Kenny,
dude,
Kenny Smith.
Kevin, get them. They're worth their money.
You know, I saw he posted because he got sick of it just like anybody else. That in the years I've been fishing and between working here and I see every product come through the store. Every vendor brings everything, but then I'm on the water a lot, so I use the stuff. If it's breathable, it's only waterproof for so long.
Well, I bought a set at West Marine, and they're actually nice,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got an
And they're breathable.
liner. But
Mhm.
where they're breathable, they have these breathable patches on your knees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought the inner liner went past that. I had them for the first season; they were good. When it gets hot, I throw them in my shed, and then I start using my breathable ones, which you get wet, but in the summer I don't care. So I brought them back out the other day, and it was cold, and I threw the net, and I had a wet knees and thighs. And
Yeah, it's miserable.
I texted him. I said, "Dude, I'm done. I'm not
Yeah.
getting wet and cold."
Yeah.
So he brought them, but the Jimmy, what's up, buddy? Mr. Beagle.
You know, Overstreet and Ken, these the ones we're talking about, they're called the Grundens Petrus. And if you're going to order them from Grundens direct, don't do that. Come get them here, but at the Tampa Fishing Outfitters. But if you are going to order them from Grundens direct, their website is a little tricky because you have like your sport fishing, commercial, like there's different categories, and you can only access certain products. So it's whatever. I think it's the light duty fishing is what it's going to be under. But they're not breathable, but they almost feel like it because they're so lightweight and they stretch.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the pair I have, they don't look white anymore. They've been through the ringer in the last 2 years.
You've had them 2 years.
I've had them 2 years, and here's the other thing:
that's the test
is I
right there.
thought
And they're thin.
when you
Yeah.
feel them, you'd think they're going to rip easy.
Yeah.
And I've snagged them on hooks, and I've snagged them on different parts on the boat and on the boat trailer. I'm going rip free for 2 years with them.
Pretty good.
And
See, that's why when I saw them down there, I'm like, these won't last.
And I run them.
But they stretch, like he said.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're going to do what they do. I did not get wet today, and today was the day you didn't want to
You
get
won't.
wet.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, like, I'm kind of mad.
The only way you'll get wet is if you get a big hole in them. That's because they're PV. There's two different. When you're talking about outerwear, there's two categories. There's breathable and there's not. Grundens and like Helly Hansen. I know Tim Whitfield recommended Helly Hansen. They're a heavier PVC coated bib. You know, if you pour water on it, or no matter how much water, there's not a rating for it. It's just waterproof. Then when you deal with the breathable stuff, they have these ratings. I forget what it's called, like 10,000, 5,000, and how much water it can take before it's going to start bleeding through. Well, not only are you going to reach that point throwing a cast net pretty quick because you got this soaking wet cast net hanging on your chest or on your legs, it's the water and then it's the weight of the net that's forcing that water through. So if it's breathable, at some point water is going to get through. And then every time you wash it in a washer, whether you dry it or not, you're deteriorating those properties.
Yeah.
So I told Kenny Smith, he posted on a forum wanting to know what do I need to get, And I said, Grunin's Petrus. And he goes, I already had Grunin's. They don't work. And I said, I have never seen what you have, but I can tell you right now, you don't have Grunin's. You have their Gauge or their Weather Watch. It's a breathable version. They're going to soak through.
Yeah, so so far I've had them 2 trips, but they're comfortable. Like, I actually wore them all day today.
Oh, look at Jimmy coming out strong.
Oh, yeah, 10% off winter services. Mention this.
Mention this show to get 10% off of winter
That's
services.
That's at Alphi Marine. The boys at Alphi.
The boys at Alphi.
They're always taking care
Well,
of it.
dang,
sir.
I'm going to be calling Jimmy.
Jimmy Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take care of it.
And the crew.
I have gotten my motors. Well, I don't get them serviced too much. The oil change is pretty much I get them rid of them before they break. But they have hung my motors and taken care of me since 10 years at least.
Well, the first boat that I ever personally bought was in 2007 from Alphi Marine.
Yeah, they're
Really?
good people,
Yeah.
man.
What's that, 12 years ago? Yeah.
They're good people. And
Yeah, I love 'em.
local company. And Jesse's been over there.
Yeah.
Jesse's been in the marine industry since Keith's. I remember before I was guiding Keith's, Jesse was a mechanic
Wow,
over there.
I didn't
now.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been around.
didn't know he
I
worked there.
remember Jesse before I even guided, 15.
I didn't know Jesse
think
worked
he's
at
been
Keith.
at least
Well,
15 years.
Jimmy, give us the green light, and we'll share this on the page, man, and try to get out to not only people who watch it, but
Yeah,
people who follow
absolutely.
the page, because that's a heck of a deal, man. Any savings you can get in the marine repair or motor servicing industry is a good deal. So we'll get that word out for you, and definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you guys do for us, getting us in. Guides are a pain at times.
Oh, I know I am.
We are a little bit of a pain. I mean, I think we handle ourselves professionally as in us, Travis, but because when stuff breaks, we're busy.
There's
And, we're stressed out trying to run a business, and our tools are
What are services? Right?
Beagle may be the one to answer that question.
Yeah. Beagle, how is it dealing with Jason when he's got
well,
an
I
issue?
call him, I say, hey,
Can we
man, I
get
got
some
Tuesday off. Can you hang my motor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get it done. I'm like, well, I'm always like, listen, if you can't do it, I'll reschedule it. But,
But in the bottom of your heart, you're like, I really need this done.
well, because I stay pretty busy, and if I got a motor sold and I got the new one sitting in a crate there, I want to get it swapped out. And they always accommodate me. They get it done. I say, hey man, I got Tuesday. Can I get the oil changed? Got one day off. I'm up against the 100 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bring it up here. We'll knock it out. I get there, drop it off at 8. Jesse's usually calling by 1 o'clock saying you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good people.
Well, I know we're only going to run a few more minutes because we got on pretty late. We're already at 8:15. What is let's kind of close with, I'm sure we've all got trips coming up. What's the plan coming out of this front, going in this warming trend? What are you planning?
Biggest issue we're going to have is finding bait. Right here's the problem right now with our bait, and I seen this 4 years ago. Rick said he hadn't seen this in a long time. I think he forgot. I was throwing a 1/4-inch mesh net, and I do call Tuesday morning. Well,
it's Tuesday morning. Can you hang my motor on Tuesday? It's Tuesday.
I got his cell phone, so I usually text him at night.
Yeah.
Hey man, I need some help in the morning. But he's usually a couple Bud Lights in by then, so then he forgets in the morning what he told me. But the bait situation, we're having to throw 1/4-inch nets somewhat around markers
in deep water.
And what it is, we had a late spawn on our bait, and the bait's just not really grown. And it's working. I'm throwing the 11-foot humpback extra. I don't know if they got an extra heavy or heavy. It's not the light one.
Yeah, you're just talking about the regular, the 1.6 pound per foot.
Yeah,
it's a good net.
So I've been throwing that at the markers, doing great. The problem is, when the tides like we've had in the mornings, out going ripping. I mean, you got to throw it 5 miles. It doesn't matter how much weight you put on that 1/4-inch net. It's only going to go down.
It's a sail.
Fast. So we've been dealing with that a little bit.
It's like dropping an umbrella in the water with weights on the handle.
Man,
it's going to go down, but it's so the bait situation's been a little tough as far as the size. And there's been a mix. There's some good baits. It's just you can't throw your 3/8 or you'll gill them. But we've been making it happen. I hope this stuff changes a little bit. I'm curious to see what happens after this water temperature settles in at whatever it's going to do, and then I think we're going to see some change. But getting bait's going to be the hardest part in the next month. I think
get that and you'll
drop
be fine.
off the residential canals, creeks, deeper
well,
water.
plus
darker water.
This front came just a couple days after that full moon too. So you know what the full moon does.
Already putting them on the move.
It's already got the bait freaky. So those two things together. Thank goodness it didn't happen at the same time. I mean, at least the full moon was a couple days.
I don't know about
in
y'all.
front
When I
of it,
see a
but
full moon on the calendar and I'm booked up,
makes
I
you
go,
want to sing.
Oh God, I'm like, it's the bait. I know that the fish are going to be a little
Yeah.
picky, but I feel that, when I get in spots, I feel confident I'm going to make them eat one way or another. I'm going to do different stuff, but the bait is one thing because you're trying to catch it and it gets so spooky, especially our water's clearing up. And how many times you been at the Skyway on a full moon trying to get bait in March? And as soon as the net hits the
looking
water,
at it, looking
just
at
goes
it and saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
and then boom."
There's a question. North wind
Yeah.
blowing water out changed much for you guys?
I could tell you this, for me, it is a huge difference maker where I fish. If you in the upper portion of the bay, it is as big a factor on water height as the tide itself. I mean, the difference, I saw that happen between.
For good or bad?
Well, it just depends on what I'm going to do, right? But it can change a plan real quick. I saw between Friday and Saturday, I feel like that was the day our wind shifted. I was at a similar location 2 days in a row. Same tide, different wind. Must have made 16 to 18 inches of water difference.
Every bit of it, yeah.
Hey.
And so it just is really going to affect your water level. It can negate a tide, and it can magnify a tide. So just understand, Scott, what you're fishing and what you've got going on. If you've got a negative 0.5 and a 15-knot north wind, well, now we're probably looking at a negative 1.5.
If I can get bait, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like it to a certain extent. There were some areas last week that I tore the fish up. I couldn't get into.
Right.
Like, just couldn't do it. And I think the fish are still there, but I don't know how long they're going to stay there
Right.
because it's just getting too cold. So once them fish move off the flats, they're going to move into the areas that I've targeted today and next week. We are fortunate on the South Shore for winter fishing. The biggest problem, we are fortunate. Like, I can run to Apollo Beach. I can run right where my house is. I can run.
You can spend
south.
a day in the canals in Apollo Beach, and once you start figuring out which docks hold fish,
Yeah.
I mean,
Never have to leave.
you don't have to. You can spend a trip in 150 yards.
Catch 100 snook. Like, you can't. Travis, your skiff ain't running worth today. I promise you that, son. It was land.
Well, it'll go for about 25, 30 yards.
Yeah.
And then it'll kind of. But
the skiff. We could have used that skiff earlier in the week. But yeah, it's lower the better. The worst thing about low tide.
yeah, we're gonna have to work out a policy with Travis, like when we need to use it for a trip. How are we gonna figure all that out?
I'll just go get it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, we know where it is.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
You probably wouldn't even know it's gone.
I think he would know.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. We got to come up with
He
a
owes me
process,
a
a
little bit. You know how many times
policy.
he's borrowed my trailer?
You make a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
He's going on like 2 years with no boat trailer.
Trade
I know
out
that
like
can't
every
get
mile
back.
he's put on the boat trailer for an hour on the skiff.
How about this? He borrows my trailer, goes across the Skyway, and don't pay the fees.
No.
No.
Yeah. Where should I launch kayak from? Better my chances while wintertime fishing.
Placido.
I'll help you answer that, off there a little bit, but I would say
Placido.
as close to the area that you want to fish. We're talking about fishing residential canals. We're talking
Simmons
about
Park is a great spot.
Simmons Park. Yeah,
Simmons
it's
Park's
perfect.
a great spot.
Apollo Beach, the beach. I've seen kayakers out there a
Yeah.
lot. This time of year when we start to get cold. So Jace, I'd really just try to choose your destination, based on these temps. And if we're saying get to those residential canals, creeks, and stuff like that, find wherever you can launch closest to that. Would be my advice. But
Well, guys, we're going
Let's
to go
go
get
eat.
something to eat.
Yeah,
We're
man.
running way behind. I want to ask you guys, if you're watching this and you go on YouTube at any time, I'll see if I can put a link on this eventually here. Follow, subscribe to our YouTube page. We're really going to start trying to ramp that up. We've just kind of had it out there. That would help us a lot, and we'd like to see you guys following our show. And that YouTube is better than Facebook as far as our shows because it's like a vault of all of our shows. You can go up there and there's shows from before we even ran the software when we were in the studios doing radio. So
Wow.
there is just like a backlog
I know.
of shows.
I've
where
seen it.
Facebook is like you've got to scroll through it, and this one's actually titled. I'm trying to go in there and title them different, but anyhow, check out our YouTube page. If you'd like to do a charter, Steady Action Fishing Charters, 813-727-9890.
Mine's Local Knowledge Fishing Adventures, 813-625-2067, or localknowledgefishing.com.
Real Simple Fishing Adventures, making fishing great again.
Yes.
What's your number?
813-601-2900.
Hey, you stole my line. And I'll even plug Captain Travis. Travis Yaeckel, Instinct Fishing Company.
Fish by Instinct.
Fish by Instinct.
813-830
I'm
fish.
allowed to screw it up
Well,
because he ain't here.
well, he's typing, so he could type his thing in there. But I know it ends in fish and starts with 813.
Just search Captain Travis with the weird last name.
Fish by Instinct. He's the man, and he's got a really cool skiff if you want to do some wintertime low tide stuff. All right, guys, we'll see you. We're going to Wing House. We're starving. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.